I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but have you heard of blue zones?
Yeah.
Yeah, blue zones are I think there are about half a dozen of them, I don't remember exactly. They're the places on the planet where the people live the longest. You're in one. This is a blue zone, okay? But I guarantee you that the younger generations today, they're not going to live like their grandparents did, okay? The first roads came up here about 20 years ago. Prior to that, you had horse trails. That was it, okay? Electricity has only been up here for 25 years. There was no, people powered their own houses with micro hydro. That was it. I mean, most people had candles, and they used cooking fuels. They didn't have stoves. They didn't have electricity. They didn't have refrigeration. People ate mostly what they could grow. They would buy rice and beans, a staple here for sure. But, they'd go to town. They'd buy 25-pound sacks or 50-pound sacks of rice and beans. But most of the rest of the food was what they were growing from their garden or what their families were growing, because most of these villages started out as a family farm. And what happened was the kids grew up, and so Dad said, okay, here, you build your house over here. And that's how these villages started. I learned the hard way, you can't come to a place like Costa Rica and talk shit about anybody. Like if you have a problem with someone, you don't tell the other people you know. It's like, did you hear what this guy did? And he's like, oh yeah, that's my cousin. Like everyone's related to everyone here. Okay, it's true. You have to be a little careful about what you say about people here. But this is the way it started. And so, maybe you were growing these 5 things and someone else was growing these, and everyone was sharing with each other. And mostly what they ate was fresh food. And in all the blue zones, including here, I mean, people here, there's no vegetarians here. There's none. You'll hardly ever meet one. I mean, there's few, but there are very few vegetarians in Costa Rica. And the blue zones, it wasn't that they were eating a vegetarian diet, let alone a vegan or a raw vegan diet. But the diets in all the blue zones are plant-based diets, which means the animal product component was relatively small. Why do you think that was?
It's expensive.
Animal products are expensive. A cow is expensive. How often can you kill and eat a cow? If you're living off the land, you can't really afford to do that very often, okay? And so people here, they would eat meat, but it would be a relatively small amount. I remember, in fact, sitting down, I had the chance to eat in a house in Canton 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and China. And a whole family of 10 or 12 people would eat as much chicken as one American. Like the American would be mostly chicken with a little bit of other stuff. And in China, at the time at least, there'd be chicken in the dish, but it was like flavor. It was, the dish was rice and vegetables with a little bit of chicken for flavor. I don't know if that's still the case or not. But, they weren't vegetarian, most of them, but they were still consuming far less of this nasty stuff, nasty for our bodies, stuff than people did in the U.S. And it's still true here today. Most people here, most people grew up eating that way here. That's true in all the blue zones. Doesn't matter where you look, okay? People think that in Okinawa they must eat a lot of seafood. Well, they eat mostly potatoes more than anything else, and vegetables and fruit and a little bit of seafood, not that much, okay? The animal products are the smallest part of the diet of all of the blue zones. And longevity isn't based on just the diet. The diet's a significant component. In the blue zones, what people have in common is that they have strong family networks. As I said, people grow up next to their parents. Like they grow up with their families. They know everybody, right? Nobody ever feels isolated because everyone's got their immediate family around them. And have you noticed how loving these people are? They're amazing. This is just how it is here. So, it's completely like in the U.S., we grow up and we move away as fast as we can. I left the house at 16, okay? I've been on my own since I was 16. I wanted to get out of the house. I love my family, but I don't mind. that they're several thousand miles away, okay? I don't need to, that's how it is. I mean, it's unfortunate, right? I feel differently now than I did then, right? But I mean, I'm okay, I don't need to see them so often. I love them, but it's different here. I mean, here, people just take for granted, we're going to be mostly with our family. That's how we live, is with the people that we're actually related to, and we take care of each other. And you don't have to worry if, you know, if something happens and you can't take care of your kid, all your brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and grandparents are all right there. Everyone's taken care of. There's no reason to worry about that. That's a significant component. In all the blue zones, most people make their living on the land. They do physical labor, okay, which means they work their bodies. I mean, most Westerners, you know, they get up in the morning, they eat coffee and have some toast and coffee, whatever. They go to the office, they get in a car or ride on a train. They sit in an office all day. They go home and eat and sit on the couch. And then on Sunday, they play a game of tennis and they think they're exercising. You know, that's not enough. The body should be moving every day, and most people aren't doing nearly enough. But here, most people still make their living doing physical exercise. Okay, they've got fresh air, they've got clean water. I mean, they're meeting all the body's needs in ways that most Westerners don't meet them. And that's one of the reasons that people live much longer in places like this. Unfortunately, I'll tell you a story that's kind of emblematic of what's happened here to the younger generation. When I took over this property, there was a business operating here, and I took over the property. They went out of business. And there was a young girl, she was 18, I think, who lived in the room I now sleep in with her 1-year-old, 2-year-old daughter, okay? Most girls here are pregnant by the time they're 16 or 17, sometimes younger. And sure enough, she had a baby, and they lived here. And so I kept her on. I needed some staff. I didn't know anybody yet. I kept her on initially. And she was quite overweight. I could tell she was always uncomfortable. And one day she looked really uncomfortable. And I said to her, "Are you okay?" And she said, "No, I feel really bad." And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Well, I've got, pain in my stomach and all this digestive tract stuff going on." And I said to her, "What do you eat?" And she said, "Fried food." I said, "Okay, what else?" She said, "No, nothing else, just fried food." Like she'd been living on fried food, and she'd been having this pain for years and eating only fried food, okay? And unfortunately, what's happening is the younger generations here, again, it's like it's attractive because it's exotic. It's what they do in the West. They want to look like the Americans. They want to be like the Americans. So they're eating more of this crap. They eat lots of processed food. I mean, think about 20 years ago, right? The people now. I went to a funeral of a friend's father a couple of years ago. He was 102 years old. And there was nothing, no one's like, wow, the guy was 100. That's just what happens. People live to 100 or more. Okay, no big deal. Most of his life, he lived up here, not too far from here, maybe a kilometer that way. And most of his life, there was no electricity, there was no road. So once every couple of weeks, maybe once a month, he'd get on a horse and ride into town. That's 12 kilometers. How long does that take on a horse? Anyone? I have no idea. Anyone know?
No.
Hour and a half? Okay. So it's a 3-hour round trip, right? And he'd go down there and he'd pick up a sack of rice and a sack of beans. And that was pretty much it. I mean, maybe a few other things, but mostly they were living on what they had. Okay? That's what they had. Now, most of the 18-year-old boys or younger have little motorcycles. Okay? They go to town whenever they want. I can be at the bottom of the mountain in 15 minutes or less. And there's probably a dozen places in this little town that sell crappy processed food, junk food, including the gas station, which is open 24 hours. Okay? Actually, the food is inside, so you can't buy the junk food once they close the inside part. But, today, all this crap has become readily available, and that's what a lot of people eat. And so unfortunately, I can virtually guarantee you that this part of Costa Rica, which is the only part of Costa Rica that's a blue zone, won't be a blue zone in 20 or 30 years. The older generations die off, and it's getting worse and worse, okay? Hopefully, I'd love to believe that we might have a little bit of impact, at least on the immediate area. And we've seen that. You might see a young girl, I don't think she's here yet. One of my housekeepers asked me if her daughter could come today to use our internet, because they don't have it at home, because she needs to do an application for college or something. I said, yeah, of course. About 2 years ago, the housekeeper said to me, is it okay, can my daughter come talk to you? I said, yeah, of course. So she had to get some mandatory physical exam for school, and they decided that she had hypertension and high cholesterol, and she needed to go on several drugs at the age of 15 or 16. She was obese. And so her mother said, don't do that, go talk to Loren. So she came here, and she started eating only fruit and salad. And she lost a bunch of weight and corrected the issues and took no drugs. Okay, her mother was diagnosed with hypertension. And she didn't want to fast again. She'd fasted with me once before. She wanted to fast again, but she changed her diet, adopted a vegan diet, avoided the drugs. Now, I'm not sure she's still doing that today. I doubt she is. But they use it as a temporary means to allow the body to heal. Hopefully, as we grow and we touch more and more people's lives, we'll see more and more people making better choices. Hi, enjoying my videos? If you'd like to learn much more, check out the Academy for Vibrant Living, where our Vibrant Health course will teach you everything you need to know to take your health to an amazing new level. And if you'd like to turn your passion for health into a lucrative career, check out the Health Coaching course, where you can become a professional, certified health coach and help as many people as possible see amazing results.